everyone. My name is Riley and I am only one half of Friendly Genly. If this is your first time here, welcome. I would love to connect with you in the comments. Let me know your thoughts, opinions. Are you planning to ever come to Korea or another country to teach English? Let me know. Today I want to talk to you about why I love living in South Korea. So if you don't already know, I am a teacher here in South Korea and I teach at a hagwon, also known as a private academy. I have lived here in Korea for a little over a year now. I signed my contract back in September of 2017, so I have 1 year and a little bit of experience to speak from, but I think that these points that I am sharing with you today can be applied for pretty much any country that you go and teach English in. My first reason goes kind of with my whole goal in moving to Korea to teach English in the first place. So the reason why I decided to move to Korea to teach English is because I knew that you could make some pretty good money living here and teaching here. And I had just previously graduated from college, so I had some student loan debt. That being said, the first reason why I love living in Korea is that I can make good money. Compared to America, I'm making relatively the same amount of money. In Korea, I'm making a tiny bit more, but not any amount more that would be substantial in this comparison. But the difference is, here in Korea, I don't have to pay rent. Now, obviously, if you just come here as an expat working for some other job, your circumstance would be different. But I'm specifically talking about those who come to live in Korea or another country to teach English. Usually, your housing and rent is included in your contract. With the extra money that I would normally be spending on rent, I have that extra money to go towards paying off my student loans. So I feel a lot more financially free here in Korea. I feel like I can get ahead in life. Back in America, I kind of just felt like I was working to pay my bills and then going to work so I can pay my bills, and I could never really get ahead. And obviously, like there's ways to get ahead, but I think that this is a way that is really fun because you're living in another country, you have a pretty easy job, and you have extra money that you don't have to spend on bills. Additionally, with not having to pay rent, this is kind of just a tag-along point, but not really one of my main points, but the bills that I have to pay here in Korea, like electricity and gas and Wi-Fi and water, those are all very, very inexpensive compared to back in America. Okay, from here I am speaking in US dollars. I automatically convert the money in my head, but basically 1,000 won equals $1. So if I say $20, I really mean 20,000 won. For example, I lived in an apartment back in America that didn't get any direct sunlight on any of the walls. It was sandwiched in between two other apartments. So that typically helps with your electricity bill, but I was paying about $100 a month in electricity. And here in Korea, even in the hot months, I pay on an average $20 a month. During the winter months, we use our gas for our floor heating, so the gas bill does go up, but it usually doesn't go over $100 a month, which is still really cheap, and it's only for a couple months out of the year. It's just really cheap to live here as far as bills goes. So the first reason why I love living in Korea is that I can make a lot of money and I don't have to spend my money on rent or bills. The second reason why I love living in Korea, and this is specifically for Korea, so this might not necessarily apply to you if you were going to Spain or somewhere else to teach English, because there's lots of places you could go. But specifically in Korea, why I love living here and why I would recommend moving to Korea to teach English is this country is extremely safe. I feel not an ounce of worry. I mean, there is the stuff that's ingrained in me as an American who lived and worried about maybe getting shot on the streets or getting robbed or being taken as, for those of my fellow Americans, but that's just ingrained in me, and that's just I just always worry about that. But since living in Korea for a year, I have become less anxious walking around, just because of like what I said is like it's ingrained in me to worry. But basically here in Korea, it's so safe. The crime rate is practically zero. It's safe to leave your windows open at night. It's safe to walk around at night. You don't have to worry about guns. You don't have to worry about people trying to rob you. You can just like leave your bag. I've done it so many times. Like I just leave my bag someplace and it's there when I come back. Like you can go to a restaurant and leave your stuff there. People, like the Koreans do it. Like it's not like I'm just being naive or anything. Like people just don't take your stuff. It's just like really, really safe. And I feel so grateful to the country for just like being able to just like not have to spend like the mind space on worrying about my safety. And like, I just don't want to ever take that for granted here living in Korea, because I really love that part. So yeah, I hope I said everything I wanted to say. The third reason why I love living in Korea and teaching in Korea is that my work schedule and my working hours are less than 40 hours a week. I mentioned that I make relatively the same amount of money as I did in America. However, I work less hours. So I guess if you take that into account, I'm making a lot more here. But I spend about 34 hours a week, like of my time blocked out for work, but I only teach 25 classes a week, and each class is 1 hour long. Now I realize that if you are a teacher here in Korea, depending on what school you work at, whether it's a private school or a public school, you will have different hours. However, for my case, I work at an academy or a hagwon, and I teach from 2nd grade, that starts at 2:30, and I teach up through 8th grade, and depending on the day, it's either like 7th grade or 8th grade, just like depending on the hour. But essentially, I work from 2:30 to 8:30 every day. And one day a week I get off at 7:30. The amount of classes that I'm working or teaching are the same. It's just like the times that I get off will vary depending on my schedule. The point is that I work less than 40 hours a week, and I really like that. Not so much time of my week is consumed with work. So I feel very thankful that my work is not like overly demanding or stressful. I think I can say pretty much across the board, if you're a teacher in another country, your work isn't going to be very demanding or stressful. But of course I can only speak from my experience, because I have read on some of like the Facebook expat pages and stuff, like where like confrontations with your boss or like confrontations with your co-teacher, things like that, like make the work stressful. From my experience, I don't think that the teaching is very stressful or extremely demanding work. So that's why I would recommend it to those who think that they could possibly do this for the time being or for a living. The fourth reason why I would recommend to someone to move to another country to teach English is that you have the opportunity to travel. You have the opportunity to see the country that you're working in. You have the opportunity to see the countries surrounding the country, and you will most likely have the time and the money to travel. So I think that from my perspective, moving to Korea has allowed me to not only pay off my student loans because I have the extra money, like I mentioned in my first point, but I'm being able to see a new country in a completely other side of the world than where I'm from. And I think that's a really cool opportunity. Like, for example, last year when the Olympics were in Pyeongchang, I was able to go and see it. And I feel like, I don't know if anybody else feels like that, but like I never in my life expected to be able to go to the Olympics. And like that's something really awesome that I got to do here in Korea. And next year when the Summer Olympics are in Tokyo, I plan to go see those as well. So that's just like really cool opportunities. But not only like have I got to just see like some really cool things in Korea, like when my student loans are paid off, I plan to travel. Like I plan to go to Japan. I would really love to go to Thailand and Vietnam and like all like the Asian countries that I've dreamed about going to, but like the tickets are like $2,000 because I'm from America and like traveling across the world, but I'm already here, so I get to do that. And I just think that's like something that you don't always get to say. Like you don't get to say like, oh, I have extra money to travel and I have extra money to like just throw at my student loans and pay off at like a rapid rate. And if you don't have debt, like you can save that money as well. So that's like a bonus point right there, that you can have like extra money to save for your future while having a really cool experience here. And my last point, and I think that this one is one of those points that could go across the board, whether you choose to move to Korea or you choose to go teach in another country. But I find the job of teaching English to be very fulfilling. So at first I kind of struggled because I was thinking like, why am I teaching these kids English? Like half these kids don't even plan to go out like into another country that's English speaking, and I feel like maybe they don't care about it or whatever. And I just felt like a little bit of an inner struggle with like, is this even worth it? Is this pointless? It's like, what is it? Am I just doing this because I like to do it? Or is like, am I actually doing something good in these kids' lives? At first I was thinking like they could just speak in Korean and like they can just, you know, stay in Korea and be perfectly fine, which is true. But there's a reason why their families are sending them to an academy to get extra English help. And I realized that a lot of like just even regular retail jobs in Korea, you get either paid more or it's just like a minimum requirement to speak English or to know some English. So I think in their everyday lives that they could use English. Not only would a basic like knowledge of English help them for those reasons for finding a job in Korea, but if they ever wanted to go and travel, if they wanted to work in another country, if they wanted to go to school in another country, most of the time, even if it's not an English speaking country, most of the time the common language between the two people is English. So I try to stress that to my students when they get maybe a little bit lazy and they don't want to learn. I tell them, if you ever want to go to Japan, who here knows Japanese perfect? Or who here knows enough Japanese to just have a conversation? And they're just like, oh, basically they can say hello and like, how are you in Japanese? I said, but who here knows more English than they know Japanese? And they're like, oh yeah, English. So I tell them like, okay, most likely in Japan, they are learning English as well. So if you need to speak to them, most likely if you need to speak to them, you will be speaking to them in English. I said, so this can help you. So I kind of conquered that little bit of a like tiff, like, is this even worth it? Like, are they going to use this or whatever? So I really want to like help them learn. So like I kind of got over that. But then also like I realized that my connection with my students is more than just English, right? Like English is this just our common reason why we're being brought together. But like I care about them. Like I really, really do. Like I care about them. I want them to succeed. I want them to do well. I like want to know, how was your trip? Like how was your weekend? Like how was your day? How are you feeling? And I just really enjoy being around them. And like obviously there's some students that, you know, get on my nerves, but I still care about them. Like as much as like I have to show them tough love, like I really want them to do well and I want them to succeed. So as long as you love people and maybe you have a connection with kids, it doesn't necessarily have to be the young kids or the old kids or all the kids. You can choose. Yeah, when you pick a job, you can choose what age group you want to teach. I'm lucky enough to teach from little to big. But know that you are making a difference by being there for them, by asking them how their day is, by giving them a hug, by rubbing their back if they've had a sad day. You know, you are someone that they probably will end up looking up to. I know that a lot of my students look up to me, and I can see it when they just get so happy to see me and happy when I talk to them. So I just find my job really fulfilling, and that's something that makes me want to stay here. Like I plan to stay here for 5 years. So I've already been here for, like I said, a little over a year. And if I hated my job,
I probably would have been gone by now. So as an encouragement and maybe as a warning, if you think that you might be able to find this job something worthwhile, I would highly, highly recommend going to another country and teaching English there, because there's lots of benefits for you, but you can also find purpose and fulfillment in this work. So thanks guys for listening to me. If you are thinking about moving to another country to teach English, whether it's Korea, Japan, or somewhere else in the world, let me know down in the comments. I would love to connect with you. I'd love to talk to you, and I would love to give you some more advice. So I plan to make more videos revolving around this kind of content. So please tell me what are your questions? What kind of videos would you like me to make? But like, if you have some like personal questions, or if you just have like, you want to talk to somebody who's experienced this, message me on Instagram. I'll leave the link below. Or you can message me on Twitter as well. I'll leave that link there. I would love to help you in any way that I can. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe. I also stream on Twitch 4 days a week. I will leave the link for my Twitch below. And if you would like, follow me on there and connect with me on Twitch. Until next time, thank you so much for watching.